Hey guys, this is Rick with Taps and Tumblers. I just want to say thank you for taking a second and clicking in on this video. A little while back, me and Rich had the opportunity to interview Anthony Proctor and Andy Grimes with the NoDa Brewing Company. Great guys, fun time, wealth of information. I'll put a link in the description below. And during it, Andy talked about the Craft Freedom Initiative. And for anybody who doesn't know who the players were and ultimately what it means for the craft brewing industry, this is a really good video to watch. So here he is, Andy, talking about the Craft Freedom Initiative. I hope you enjoy it, and thanks again for clicking in.
So, North Carolina used to have a manufacturing cap on breweries.
25,000 barrels?
25,000 barrels. If you wanted to self-distribute, which means you basically did the whole thing for yourself. You made it, packaged it, you branded it, you marketed it, you sold it, you delivered it. You took out the middleman. You were basically it. In North Carolina, that cap was a manufacturing cap. You manufacture up to 25,000 barrels.
Now, why would North Carolina institute that? Why would they stop you at 25,000?
Well, a lot of states, so after, this goes back to Prohibition. After Prohibition, the federal government's told the states, hey, listen, we want a three-tier system. We want manufacturers, we want distributors, and we want retailers. Right. Because we don't want the manufacturer to control the whole supply chain.
My understanding is that breweries like Anheuser-Busch and Miller were threatening to own everything from grain to glass,
yes.
like from making it to transporting it on to the bars, yeah. where you
and
bought
if you were either going to be a Miller bar or an Anheuser-Busch,
which is very Euro, right? I mean, like
that's Germany.
Yeah,
that is absolutely 100% Germany.
So anyway, the government didn't want that, so this is like a little stopgap.
So the federal government said to the states, "Hey, listen, you got to have a three-tier cap or a three-tier system. We don't care how you do it. We want you to do it." So there's states that are a hard three-tier system. South Carolina is a hard three-tier system. If you're a manufacturer, you can't be a distributor, and you just recently be able to become a retailer. Like up until 3 years ago, you couldn't even have a tap room in your brewery.
Oh wow!
So
you can produce it, you can't sell it. Wow!
Yeah. So North Carolina was a little bit progressive. Thanks to Oscar Wong from Highland and Foothills, they kind of helped with the pop, the cap, and all that stuff. So in 2005, when we raised the alcohol limit, kind of opened the floodgates for craft beer in North Carolina. It first started with European styles, Belgium, big, and then slowly U.S. and North Carolina. So the distributors, so once you got the 25,000 barrels, you had to basically sell your brand to a distributor for 0.0 barrels up. So they got to take over the business that you grew and then grow more business. So as a group of small self-distributing breweries, we started a lobbying group called Craft Freedom, because we felt that it shouldn't be based on manufacturing. It should be based on, if you want to cap it, it should be based on how much you actually sell, how much you personally send out to bars, restaurants, grocery stores, bottle shops.
Which makes perfect sense.
So, first step was to start a lobby group, try to get a bill introduced. That didn't happen. That was politics at its best.
So, I mean, nobody ever thought that they'd be getting into politics when they started out, brewing beer in the garage kind of thing, and that's so crazy. Wow.
No.
You're going to have a lobbyist.
We had a lobbyist. We had several lobbyists, and then...
And who's paying for that? I mean, was that a combined thing?
Well, the members of Craft Freedom did, but the two main members of Craft Freedom were OMB and NoDa.
Wow, okay.
And they're privately owned. So you can imagine where the money came from. So we had a bill. The Speaker of the House told the writers of the bill in the committee that he wouldn't let it get out of committee if it had distribution on it and brand rights, which is once you sell your brand, once you team up with a distributor, how your name and your product is owned. So brand rights in North Carolina is a distributor can pay NoDa $150 million to use to distribute their product, but after that, NoDa has no control over their brand. That distributor singly owns it, and it can pass down from generation to generation, or ownership of the distributorship.
And they can sell
They can sell it to whoever they want. They can bury it if they want to. They can do whatever they want with it.
So that's a no-no, obviously, right?
So those two were on this bill that was to be get out of committee. That also had the Sunday brunch on there. They were all tied in the same bill. So the Speaker of the House said, no, these two things on there, take those off, or I won't let it get out of committee. Politics at its best. We know that politicians usually listen to whoever pays the most of their campaigns. So
You're
A, B, and C.
Yeah.
So we thought we had a deal with the wholesalers group, the lobbying group, the North Carolina Beer and Wine Wholesalers Lobbying Group. That kind of fell through. So our next step was we actually had to sue the state of North Carolina for constitutional infringement because it was the law. We didn't have a fair shot at changing the law, and we had to go through the process of trying to get a bill introduced to prove that this is constitutionally
Right.
invalid because of the way the system's set up.
And plus, I mean, you're spending so much money to get rejected, to spend
Yep.
so much money to get
And
rejected, so they're hoping you just run out,
so
right?
we-
You
yeah.
peter out.
Yeah, and wait.
So we had to file a lawsuit. So lawsuits can take a long time, discovery and all that, and the state appealed it twice. The judge that was deciding on the appeal denied it twice, and then at the level that it was going to be decided on, the judge that was at the appeals also got to set how it was going to be judged. You could either have a single judge or a three
panel.
person judge group, and he decided that it would be a single judge, and he was going to be the judge for that lawsuit. So through this whole process, there's always negotiating going on between the two parties, and we were able to come to a compromise so that it didn't have to go to court. Which at the end of the day, that's all anybody ever wanted, was
right.
not to go to court. But so the cap got raised to
From 25 to
50,000 barrels self-distributed. Whatever you sell over your counter in your tap room doesn't count. Whatever the distributor takes to South Carolina doesn't count. Whatever an actual distributor that you don't own takes, let's say we have a distributor for the East Coast of North Carolina, that doesn't count. It's whatever you pick up from your brewery and put down another distributor.
Ah.
So now it's an actual distribution law instead of a manufacturing law.
Right.
oh,
And for us, it was more about owning our backyard,
Right.
and controlling
Your name.
the product, the name, the message,
everything you've built so hard
Yes.
to get up
Yeah.
and going.
than to
Yeah, because ultimately someone could go ahead and buy the rights for your distribution,
Well,
and then shelve you if they're a bigger
Yeah,
company,
if
and-
they paid us enough money to.
Right.
yeah, and you didn't know what they were actually
Yeah.
trying to
And
do
it's
in the
happened.
end.
And it's happened. It's
Oh, yeah.
there's small breweries that have signed on with the wrong distributors, and it's killed them.
Shook hands with the devil.
Yep. So,
And
but
it's-
it takes a
it's-
lot of work to self-distribute too. So
Right.
people don't realize that there's a lot of capital investment in brewing because that equipment is not cheap, and you specialize welding and
But then the legwork is on top of it, just going door to door and getting your product out there.
and having a fleet of trucks and employees.
Well, this
trucks.